hike to or past Bear Saddle in the Huachuca Mountains 3 or 4 times a year. And Granite Peak is just a hop, skip, and a scramble from Bear Saddle. So how is it that I've never bothered to hike up to this peak and check it out? Well, 1, because when you're near it, it looks like not much at all. And 2, because I'm not what you'd call a peak bagger. Peak baggers typically have some type of checklist of peaks, and their goal is, no matter how enjoyable or awful the hike is, to get to a peak so they can check that sucker off their list. This is the opposite of how I enjoy hikes. So, since it didn't look interesting, and I'm not a peak bagger, I've never headed up to Granite Peak. This, I was soon to realize, was a mistake. The most popular way to Bear Saddle before heading up to the peak is to start at Ramsey Canyon Preserve and hike 4 miles up the Hamburg Trail. The shortest route is a little under 3 miles on the Bear Canyon Trail to Bear Saddle. But to get to Bear Canyon, it's a long drive on a bumpy dirt road through Coronado National Memorial, over Montezuma Pass, and then to Forest Road 4774. Bear Canyon is the trail I took. Like so many of the trails in the Huachucas, this one started off as a mining road. The first mile is relatively easy going. Towards the end of that mile, you'll pass by what might be the largest alligator juniper in the Huachucas, more than 18 feet around according to the Trails of the Huachucas Trail Guide. Then you hike through massive pines that are just as impressive when you see them crashed on the ground as they are when they're 120 feet high above you, until you reach Bear Spring at about the 2-mile mark. There aren't many perennial springs in the Huachucas. This is one of them. One thing for sure is that if you ever decide you want to take a nap in the forest while being sung to sleep by birds, Bear Spring is the place for you. After that, I made a quick stop to clear a log off the trail. And then it was a final steep half-mile to the saddle. My hiking friends gave me good advice about not heading up what seems like the obvious route to the peak right in front of the signs at Bear Saddle, but rather taking the crest trail for a third of a mile or so until you take a short tiptoe through the tulips up to the peak, keeping your eyes out for a rattler that could mistake your ankle for a ground squirrel. And at the peak is where I realized that mistake I mentioned earlier. By skipping past what seemed like a dusty little knob of a peak, I've been missing out on a forest of claret cup cacti and what I think are the best views of Ramsey Canyon and Ramsey Peak from anywhere in the Huachucas. I stayed here a good long time and regretted all the times I've walked right past it. Then it was back to Bear Saddle, down past Bear Spring, and then to the trailhead, all in all about 6.5 beautiful miles with 2,600 feet of elevation gain. If this seems like the end of this story, well, it's not. When I got home, I realized another mistake I'd made. I left behind my little tiny tripod. 10 days later, I headed back up, hoping to find it. Because not many hikers head to Granite Peak, there it was, laying right where I left it. Slightly dusty. I'll be honest, I wouldn't have done this hike again quite so soon. Yay! But I do love Bear Canyon, and I also love not spending $30 to replace a tripod. After all of that, I just got a heck of an agave poke on my leg. I stabbed my leg on an agave and needed to stop and staunch the blood that was dripping into my sock. I think this calls for a little bit of pain relief. Whew. And with all my mistakes finally behind me, I headed the rest of the way without further incident. On we go. Except for the agave stabbing part, I really hope you liked this route as much as I did. If you did, and you're looking for other hikes like it, click one of the links at the end of this video, and I think you'll find a hike that suits you. And I'll see you on the next hike.